from the local station. This is Weather Authority Weekday.
Well, good morning, everyone. Meteorologist Chris Holtzman here. Weather Authority Weekday continues. It is our Tuesday edition as we continue through the week. And it certainly was a cold start to the morning. Temperatures across our area ranged from 27 in Waycross, so that was our cold spot, to around 34 degrees in Jacksonville. And then points south, we had temperatures generally in the low to even mid-40s. So it was a cold morning. We had freeze alerts in effect, freeze warnings generally north and west of the metro. And that activity is really not here anymore because temperatures are rising with the sunshine that we do have in place. So 36 this morning in Lake City, 34 in McClenny, 38 in Mayport, Orange Park in the upper 30s, Green Cove Springs we dropped to around 40, 43 in St. Augustine. Let's take a live look, by the way, in Green Cove Springs. Now, not as windy as yesterday. That's the good news. We did not have a significant wind chill. Remember, that's a measure of the temperature with the wind, and that's what it feels like to exposed skin. And what we're looking at today, a bit of a breeze, but not as strong as yesterday. Live look in Green Cove Springs showing that we do have a good amount of sunshine. Here is downtown Jacksonville, nice and sunny here. Some clouds moving in. We even had some fog across our area this morning, especially across St. Johns County, but for the most part this morning we are looking at more sunshine across our area. So that's a live look there in Jacksonville. 56 degrees. We have a sunny sky, northerly winds right around 8 miles per hour. And into the other locations here as we advance forward from Jacksonville. Looking live at the airport in Jacksonville, or we're in Mayport. Look at that, gorgeous shot, a bit breezy there, but again, not as strong as yesterday. And we do have more sunshine around, and temperature right now in Mayport looking at around 57 degrees. And the wind, sensor not able to measure the wind right now, but it certainly is out there as we are looking in the Mayport area. Jacksonville International looking fully sunny as well. And we do have a temperature of around 56 degrees. So a nice morning as we're starting to warm up, and then that continues into the afternoon. So our setup that we have in place, you'll notice that big blue H overhead to our east. That is an area of high pressure, and that is bringing in sunshine and also warmer temperatures. A little disturbance, upper level disturbance to our west. You can see bringing clouds to portions of Kansas, Oklahoma, and also Texas, but for the most part, we're under the influence of that area of high pressure, and that will lead to sunshine for the rest of the day. We'll see an uptick in cloud cover over the next couple of days ahead of another front, but for the most part, what we're tracking is eventually warmer temperatures ahead. So remember, we started out the day in the 20s and 30s and even 40s. Now we're looking at temperatures across our area in the 40s and 50s. So Waycross, we're now up to 49 degrees. It's 54 in Brunswick. St. Mary's 47, 56 though in Jacksonville, 60 now in St. Augustine, and we have Palatka right around 53 degrees, Lake City right around 50. So looking at those temperatures starting to warm up. Now it will be a warmer day today. We'll have less wind, so high temperatures will be on their way up, but again, the wind, still looking at a northerly wind around 5 to 10 miles per hour, and that is bringing with it again, slightly chillier weather this morning, but the gusts, nothing like we saw yesterday. Remember, we had gusts up to 40 miles per hour. Well, now the gusts right along our coast up to about 20, a little bit higher generally offshore. So as we head through the next couple of hours, if you're heading out for any activities, no concerns with the weather as we're looking at temperatures generally in the 50s. Ignore all of that cloud cover there. We're looking at more sunshine throughout the day with high temperatures near 60 or the low 60s depending on where you are. So upper 50s to right around 60 in Georgia, and then across our Florida counties we're looking at low to even mid 60s around 59 today in Jacksonville, low 60s in Green Cove Springs, St. Augustine at around 64, 58 in St. Mary's, Waycross as well. We are in the upper 50s across our area. Now, I do want to show you as well our rip current risk today. So we're not seeing any rain, nothing to really eliminate any outdoor plans. However, if you are heading to the beach, some of us, of course, like to surf. Well, we are looking at a high risk for rip currents up and down the Florida coast. So that extends from Jacksonville all the way down to Miami. And we've seen some of these higher rip current risk days across our area. Briefly touching on a rip current, remember that's a strong current of water moving away from the shore. So that powerful channel of water flowing away from the coast, if you're caught in it, could lead to you getting put out at least a half a mile, perhaps a mile offshore. and it's very hard to fight a rip current, but you want to go parallel to the shore. So as we pull up our graphic full once again, you can see that strong current of water moving away. And in terms of rip currents, there's an increased risk of rip currents again along our local beaches today. But do you know how to recognize and escape one? So here's some more information put together. Let's take a listen at the information.
A rip current is a narrow, fast-moving channel of water that starts near the beach and extends offshore through the line of breaking waves. If you do get caught in a rip current, the best thing you can do is stay calm. It's not going to pull you underwater, it's just going to pull you away from shore. Call and wave for help. You want to float, and you don't want to swim back to shore against the rip current because it'll just tire you out. You want to swim out of the rip, parallel to shore along the beach, and then follow breaking waves back to shore at an angle. When you first get to the beach, the best thing you can do is swim near a lifeguard. And then if you have questions about if the conditions are hazardous or not, ask a lifeguard. And then many beaches have things like a flag system or other forms of communication to be able to tell you if the conditions are hazardous. But if you go to a beach without a lifeguard, when you get there, you want to make sure you know how to spot a rip current. And if you get caught in one, know how to get out. And then when you go in the water, always bring flotation. Always let a lifeguard make a rip current rescue, because often the people that try to make rescues themselves end up being the ones who drown. Instead, the best way to help is to throw them something that floats and immediately get a lifeguard for help. Spotting a rip current can be difficult and it really needs some practice, but when you go to the beach, start off by staying back from the water. Rip currents are easier to see at an elevated position like a dune line or beach access, and then look for places where waves aren't breaking, so flat spots in the line of breaking waves. And then also where there's maybe foam or sediment in the water being transported away from the beach offshore. Before you go to the beach, always check your local beach conditions. Look at the wave forecast. If you have waves 2 to 3 feet high or greater, you could have strong rip currents. And then look to see if there's a hazardous rip current statement for your local beach. And then always check the tide as well. So rip currents often occur at low tide, and so if you're going to the beach during a period of low tide, just be mindful that strong rip currents could occur. People often misunderstand and think that rip currents only occur during bad weather days at the beach, but actually you can have strong rip currents with sunny days and waves of only about 2 to 3 feet high. And the reason for that is that rip currents aren't really caused by the weather, they're caused by the waves and other factors like the tide and the shape of the bottom. Rip currents can occur anywhere you have breaking waves, like large sandy beaches on the open ocean. But they can also occur where you have hard structures like jetties or piers or even rocks jetting out into the ocean. In terms of the tide, usually rip currents are going to occur more at low tide when you have waves breaking over the sandbar near shore, and that's the third part, the sandbar. So usually you're going to have strong rip currents where you have a significant sandbar near shore with a channel in it.
Well, great information there on rip currents. So again, we are tracking that higher risk of rip currents along our coast for the day today. And we'll keep you updated if that's extended. That's due to those stronger winds offshore, allowing for that rip current threat to remain elevated. By the way, Futurecast shows today some clouds mix in from time to time. So if you are heading out for any activities, not seeing any significant issues with our weather. We certainly could use some rain as we are in a drought, but not really seeing any over the next couple of days. Temperatures for tonight, Waycross, we're down to 38. Notice our numbers are higher than the past couple of nights, so we're not looking at any widespread freeze, with many spots in Georgia dropping into the 20s and 30s. We're looking at 30s and 40s. 42 tonight in Brunswick, 46 in St. Mary's, upper 40s in Jacksonville. And then along and east of I-95, we're looking at temperatures into Duval and St. Johns County in the mid to even upper 50s. So some of those typical milder spots this time of year will be in the 50s across our area. How about during the day, though, on a Wednesday? So through the middle of the week, look at some of these numbers. 70s return. That's above normal. So it has been chilly the past couple of days, but this cold blast, as we were talking about, is short-lived, and we're looking at temperatures around 65 in Brunswick all the way to the low 70s as you head down 95 into Florida. So a beautiful day. We'll see more clouds around, but again, it should be very comfortable with temperatures across our area in the 70s. Not seeing any rain locally, but some clouds mix in from time to time. And now that's shown into Wednesday evening. But again, any outdoor activities should have no issues with our weather. Now, our clouds and radar forecast, we can see showing that there is an area of high pressure nearby. We're tracking another front later in the week. Could see some shower activity on Thursday. Some of the models are a bit more aggressive now in some activity. We certainly could use the rain. So we'll watch to see if that makes it into our area. Other models show us a bit drier, but we did up the rain chance a little bit more for Thursday. And then that area of high pressure will be settling in later in the week into the weekend, which, by the way, will be the final weekend of fall. And then winter starts, by the way. So we will be looking at certainly warmer temperatures on the way, courtesy of that area of high pressure, which will start to slide offshore by the weekend, bringing a southerly wind into our area, bringing warmer temperatures across our region. Temperature forecast and upper level winds as we go over the next couple of days. See those warmer temperatures around. Another cold blast of air. Look at that moving in from Canada there. That stays to our north. Here in Florida, we're too far south to get the brunt of the cold air, but notice those warming conditions, those warmer colors, the orange, the yellow, the red indicating that milder air is starting to move in. There's a look in Sunday showing a beautiful forecast across our area as we head through the end of the week. Now, on our 7-day forecast, we are looking at 59 degrees for the day on Tuesday for today, 68 on Wednesday, low 70s Thursday, very small chance of a shower. And look at those numbers by the weekend. We're looking at temperatures back into the 70s with overnight lows generally kind of all over the place, but we're looking at generally 50s if you average those lows over the week. By the way, looking ahead to the holiday, you might be wondering, well, what are temperatures going to do? Well, the Climate Prediction Center, they issue these outlooks weeks in the future. So the latest outlook here shows a pretty good probability where you see some of the darker reds. That's the highest probability of above normal temperatures. But if you're staying in Florida for the holidays, we're looking at generally warmer weather. Big chance for above normal temperatures across Texas into Oklahoma, also into New Mexico. The only area that will likely see a below normal temperature, if you look up into interior New England over Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, and the northern areas there of New England, a better chance of some below normal temperatures. What about the rainfall? Looking fairly dry here in the southeast. You can see that darker tan color there, and that's indicating a very good chance of below normal precipitation. That looks like the west coast, which we've already talked about, and I'll talk about shortly, that has been getting tons of rain and really snow as well. Looks like the precipitation outlook will remain above normal for those locations. So that's a look at our local weather. Right after the break, I'll talk about our national weather and we'll break down what's happening across the country. We'll be right back. Back everyone, Weather Authority Weekday continues. I'm meteorologist Chris Holtzman. Let's talk about the national weather because we're still tracking plenty of activity generally west of our region. So in terms of temperature here in Florida, not too bad. 53 in Jacksonville. We're near 60 in St. Augustine, low 60s in Tampa, and across South Florida, low 70s. Across the rest of the country, cold is over most of it. We're looking at 20s and 30s across the central part of the country, up into the mid-Atlantic and also New England, looking at 30s. And across the Midwest as well, we are looking at temperatures generally in the 40s and 50s. And we've been talking about the landslide risk across the Pacific Northwest, and some citizens are having to adjust their lives with more and more atmospheric rivers hitting the Pacific Northwest. Reporter Devin Haskins shows us the destruction.
A massive landslide along Highway 229 between Kernville and Siletz. Trees, mud, and debris wiping out the highway and damaging 2 homes.
It's devastating.
Todd Fulfer runs the Chinook Bend RV Resort a few miles down the road and says some of the devastation has floated by him on the Siletz River.
We've been seeing refrigerators, trusses, trees, and all that coming down the river. Luckily, they've missed all of our docks.
And this viewer video from down the river, closer to the mouth of the ocean, shows what appears to be a wall floating.
I mean, it could have been very well easily as happening here. I mean, with the mountain right here, and it hits home pretty hard. I mean, we're a real close community.
And with more rain coming, the possibility of more landslides is a real concern.
If this rain continues, it will, I mean, there's so many steep slopes down there, so there may be other ones.
Scott Burns is a geology professor at Portland State University. He says the hillside has weak soil and is very steep.
Anytime we have an atmospheric river coming to the Pacific Northwest, and we seem to be getting more and more and more of them, we know that there's going to be huge amounts of water that's going to be put onto the slopes, and the steeper the slopes, they are going to be more prone to landslides.
ODOT says the landslide is still active and the ground unstable, and they aren't sure if the road underneath is still intact. A small section of the highway is completely shut off, and for Todd Fulfer, who lives on one side and his daughter attends school on the other, the only way around, an hour and a half both ways.
Well, we got to get up extra early because it's now an hour and a half to get her to school, an hour and a half to get back. So it's 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the evening to pick her up.
Well, certainly pretty active across the Pacific Northwest and our overall setup for today. So looking at the late morning setup, of course, they are 3 hours behind us here in Jacksonville, but we're looking at another system bringing an atmospheric river. So that is all of that Pacific moisture moving onshore, and that's bringing mountain rain and snow. Look at all that activity there as that upper level system is tracking right overhead. So we're looking at more flooding overhead. And a second system continues to bring the chance for rain and snow across the northwest. You see all of that activity. So a pretty wet forecast where several inches of rain or at least additional rain could fall on what has already fallen. And of course, where it's cold enough, you get that mountain snow, especially across the Cascades there, where we are looking at some of that blue overhead. So our temperature set up for today, more widespread temperatures due to flow in between jet streams, and another potential we have is more rain as we head into the day tomorrow across the Pacific Northwest. So we're tracking one resident that had their home crashed into by a tree. Pretty significant damage out there. Reporter Bridget Chavez has the story on this situation.
Leavenworth is getting back up
And very, very lucky.
after some very
As big as this tree is,
close calls.
yeah, I know it could have been worse.
This massive tree that once stood proudly in Michelle Luter's front yard came crashing down onto her home Wednesday night.
Yeah, I would have been sitting there with my dog.
Luckily, neighbors called and asked her to come over.
The temperature, literally like we felt it raise like to 70 degrees. It got very warm, very fast. And then you could just see what was almost like, I don't know, a hurricane, like a bomb cyclone, something, I don't know.
The storm knocked out power for 2 days, toppling trees, crushing cars, and damaging homes.
Here's your Christmas tree. You wanted a Christmas tree? I'm like, yeah, I guess so.
Neighborhoods north of town
Not like this.
took the hardest hit.
A bunch of smashed cars throughout the residential area, and you'll see tons of houses that were damaged by tree falls.
The damage was compounded by the closure of Highway 2, cutting off a major route into town and making it harder for both cleanup crews and customers to get in. Downtown, the Bavarian Core escaped with minimal damage. This weekend, the lights and festivities are back on, but business owners say the impact still stings.
Our biggest month is December. In fact, it was sort of an unlucky incident that the biggest week is typically the second week of December, and that's the week the power went down because all the grandmas and families are in town buying toys for Christmas.
I'm okay. My dog's okay, and that's all that matters to me.
Back at her home, Michelle says what happened here is big, but the response and support is bigger.
I know that we'll be okay and that everyone will help us because everyone helps each other.
Pretty significant situation out west, and we'll be tracking more of that rain once again over the next couple of days. So heading back to our temperature setup for the day today, warmer temperatures around across Jacksonville and all of Florida and across the middle part of the country. Still looking at below normal temperatures, by the way, as we head across the eastern part of the country, up into North Carolina, all the way through Maine, with the jet stream dipping down. By the way, one thing I didn't talk about, the wind potential, and we could see winds perhaps approaching hurricane force across those areas in orange. And for those areas in pink, we could see winds exceed 100 miles per hour as that jet stream is right over these spots. Of course, that fast moving air, and that is leading to the potential for over 100 mile per hour winds across some of the mountains. So pretty active weather off to the west, and there could even be non-thunderstorm winds exceeding 40 miles per hour for those areas and yellow. Otherwise, just want to talk about the rain potential as we head into tomorrow across the Pacific Northwest. More rain, you guessed it, and snow as moisture will aid in more mountain snow along the system track. We're also tracking that front. Remember, I told you that's going to cross our area, and that could bring perhaps some freezing rain as some warmer air is at the aloft. You have some cooler air at the surface, and I can talk about this in a future stream as well. the different types of winter precipitation, but it looks like we could see some ice or perhaps some freezing rain developing on the backside of that low across the Midwest and the upper plains. We're looking at more cold and more snow. Over Texas, by the way, we're looking at another chance for some rain as moisture and upper level system brings a chance for showers and storms across the southeast part of Texas. Not over our area, though. We're not expecting any rain, and our temperature set up as we head into our day tomorrow. We are looking at more widespread warm temperatures due to flow in between the jet streams. By the way, with all that rain I was talking about, I want to talk about a levee breach across the Green River in Washington. Here's a look at it. And look at the road just washed out there a few miles east of Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. And that's why, of course, when we see all of that rain, again, not a good idea to drive over those roads covered in water. You don't know how deep it is, but very good video there showing really the powerful force of Mother Nature. A look ahead, though, the next 3 days, we are looking for today. That system track is across the Northeast, and then watch what happens here as we head into Wednesday. The system is over the northern United States, and then there comes that front developing, perhaps bringing a few showers by Thursday. Could move into our area as well, so we'll be tracking that. Right now, have a slight chance for a few showers, something we'll continue to monitor over the next few days. But you can see that system across the Northwest. And by the way, as I mentioned, we are tracking across our area the last day of fall. The last full day is on Saturday. And you might be wondering, well, why do we have specific seasons and what exactly happens by Sunday, which is the first day of winter? Well, remember, our Earth, it is tilted on its axis about 23.5 degrees. That tilt in the axis is what gives us seasons. Now, you might be wondering, well, what are the specific dates? Of course, we went through our autumnal equinox in September, our winter solstice, that is the 21st and 22nd, and then in March, that's when we begin spring, and that is our vernal equinox, and by June, that is the summer solstice. So notice the consistent tilt in the axis, but each of parts of the Earth are closer to or further away from the sun based on where we are for each event. Now, in terms of what we have for our winter solstice, which is December 21st, that's when the Earth axis is tilted away from the sun. This is when we see the shortest day and longest night in the northern hemisphere. So that is when we see the lowest amount of daylight, and then after the 21st, we'll start to gain daylight. We are gaining daylight, by the way, each evening now, but the mornings we've been at least seeing that daylight remain consistent. So we'll be watching for more daylight beyond December as we head from winter into spring, the vernal equinox. So pretty interesting information there, and that is this Sunday once again. So the last full day of fall will be on Saturday. By the way, we love to show Snapjacks photos, and let's pull up some of those photos that we do have. And here is one of them right now, and this is from our Snapjacks user, Kat Johnson. And look at this, her dog Lily. Gorgeous shot. You can see with the Christmas tree there, enjoying all of the festive decorations across the area. Here's another one, and this is of a gorgeous sunset. How about that? This is from Palm Coast, and this is from our user Biscuit. And this is of the sunset. And of course, with just enough clearing, you can see those vibrant colors, the way the sunlight is reflecting and refracting some of those water droplets. We're looking at those yellows, even oranges, and just those vibrant colors. Looks like a painting there. We have another one as well, and this is from Brett. And this is, you can see Scooter the turtle. Look at that. Oh, wow. And with the little antlers on, and you can see the Christmas decorations. Of course, we love to see your photos and videos. And by the way, your photo or video could be featured on air and even on our Weather Authority weekday stream or weekend stream. Of course, you can send your weather snaps to Snapjacks. That's www.news4jax.com/Snapjacks. And under our weather tab, you can select the category of the photo. Of course, always love to see all of your information, and we love seeing your photos that we feature each day on our Weather Authority weekday stream, and even sometimes as well online in some of our weather articles that we write. Had some photos that I put in a frost article, by the way, early this week, showing some of the frost on some of the cars. But anyway, we definitely had a lot of information today. But the bottom line for our area locally is we are looking at some warmer temperatures over the next week. with highs back in the 70s after seeing high temperatures in the 40s and 50s. As always, your latest forecast is online, on air, and on our weather app. But for now, have a great rest of your Tuesday.
See why every day more people are choosing News4JAX, Northeast Florida and South Georgia's #1 source for local news.